Hello everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. Today we will be leading a PAW client training that's going to be focused on building dashboards and designing a user interface. This is the first of 3 free trainings that QueBIT is offering. The second training will be on Tuesday, May 5th. This training is going to be more geared towards modelers and developers with TM1. In that training, we're going to talk about TI processes and rules within PAW. The third training is going to be on Tuesday, May 19th, and that will focus on best practices for building out admin books in PAW. So if you're more admin-minded, please join that session for sure. We encourage all of you, though, to follow us along in our free PAW training series. So please sign up. To sign up, you can visit the link here posted. It's QueBIT.com/events. So with that, let's get started. The agenda for today, we're going to first introduce ourselves and our company, QueBIT Consulting. Then our goal is to cover building a dashboard from scratch in PAW. We want to talk about how you alter data from charts and graphs. We're going to add some navigational buttons. We're going to pull in a pre-built PAFE report, and of course, talk about best practices on how you can enhance your users' experiences through the addition of fonts and titles, images, comments, videos, etc. And of course, we're going to leave some time at the end for some Q&A. But first, a little bit about our company, QueBIT Consulting. QueBIT is based in New York, and we have consultants nationwide. We're passionate about helping good companies become great through our analytics solutions and service offerings. We advise our clients on all things analytics and best practices, such as how to embed analytics into your everyday business processes. And we even develop our own analytics solutions, which of course help us deliver outstanding results to our clients. Truly, client success is at the heart of our mission. So we listen to our clients, we focus our efforts on solving your business complex challenges. We try to hire the best talent that we can find. And we listen to our employees and work to create that culture of openness, collaboration, fun, and opportunity. We do believe that our passionate, motivated, and talented team of people are what drive that client success. So we really pride ourselves on being not only the leading end-to-end business analytics provider, but also your trusted advisor in all areas of business analytics. I am your presenter today. My name is Maria Lack. I am the Manager of Strategic Operations, Training, and Support. I am based in sunny San Diego, California, and I'm joined by Steve Swartz, who is a planning analytics consultant. Steve will be monitoring for your questions and is joining us from Austin, Texas. I like to review a few housekeeping notes before we get started. As I mentioned, today's training is the first of a 3-part free online training series for IBM's Planning Analytics Workspace, also known as PAW. If you're interested in PAW, but your organization doesn't have PAW yet, I do want to tell you about a fantastic opportunity. IBM is offering a free trial to you all of PAW. So you can access this free trial by going to our website, QueBIT.com/IBMPA. I do want to just emphasize that this is a fantastic free trial opportunity, so please take advantage of that. And we will be recording this webinar and emailing you all a link afterwards. Feel free to share this link with those others in your organization who might be interested. Or you can go online to our video catalog where you're going to find dozens of other helpful past webinars. So now I'd like to set the stage for today's training. This training is really designed for those of you who are brand new to PAW and need to get a dashboard built from scratch. So this is certainly a beginner level class. It will focus on the mechanics of how you build a PAW dashboard. It will give you design ideas and useful tips. So therefore, we do assume that you have some sort of experience with planning analytics, either using TM1 Web or Architect, etc. We're not going to be going into any how to use planning analytics or TM1 in the background, but we will be focusing again on the PAW end user dashboard experience. I also wanted to include a slide that will help you understand the system architecture that's needed to get PAW up and running. There is a PAW server that connects to the TM1 server, and then all your users access PAW via a web browser. Now, you can think of PAW as the new, sleek, updated TM1 Web, which of course is an interface for TM1, which is now called Planning Analytics. And it's been an IBM strategy to simplify how users are interacting with TM1. And that's really through two main ways. It's through PAW, which would be dashboards, modeling, and administration, or through PAFE, which stands for Planning Analytics for Excel. And that's strictly for Excel reporting. So those are the two ways that your end users will interact with planning analytics. Now, IBM has a lot of videos for hands-on PAW builds, and we want you to understand the business problem of what we're building out in PAW today. So here's a real-life business challenge that our clients come to us needing help with. Today, we're going to be working within a capital expenditures planning model, and we need to build out a dashboard for our managers, but also a way for our business analysts to go and input their new assets and then look at the drivers behind the scenes that are being used to calculate, for example, depreciation expense. So this training is based off of a real life CapEx business scenario, and let's get started. Okay, first you see that we have a login screen. I'm going to enter in my username credentials. Now, once I'm inside PAW, I'm going to click New and then Book. So I'm going to completely start from scratch. On the left side, we have a data source where I'm drilling down into my cube CapEx summary and then going to open up a default view, which is going to add it to the workspace on the right. Now you can see that I have, it just looks like some numbers, and I can take and click and drag this anywhere on the workspace area. I can alter my view by clicking and dragging and expanding out to see all the information. And then I can duplicate it. So the little blue box pops up in the middle and I have a list of options, one of them being to duplicate what I just put onto my workspace. So now you can see I have two identical charts. And with one of these charts, what I'm going to do is keep it. I like it. So let's just change the view to get rid of the context area. And then on the second chart, what I'm going to do is I only want to see total assets. So I'm going to right click, choose keep. And then I'm going to change, instead of seeing the monthly periods for the year, I'm going to search to find 2019. Then I'm going to opt to take all of its children, which will then just give me the quarters. And I want this as my new view. So here you can see I have 2019 still. I don't really want that, so I'm going to right click hide. Now I just have my quarters, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and that looks good. So let's hide the context area. And then you can see I can reshape this image into how I want it and add a title. So here, let's add a title, and I can type in 2019 quarterly breakdown. Good. So this looks sufficient. This is going to get me that at a glance that my manager likes to see. Now I can again click on any object and drag them anywhere. So I'm just kind of changing my view around. So this looks really good so far. Let's add some more. Let's right click on a data point for the year and for total asset. And this will put on our dashboard what I like to call a call out of just a number. You can see we can add a title. So 2019 total assets. I can click and move this anywhere. And then I can resize it by clicking and dragging the corners. Now I can right click and let's add some conditional formatting. So on total assets, I can choose to, off of a value, let's say, 90,000, add a conditional formatting, a color, so a cell fill, a border. I can do a font color change. I can even add an icon set. So for this example, let's just choose a background fill. I'm just going to choose red. That's fine. And then we can add another one. So you can add as many conditional formattings as you want. Again, member, value, or text can be the drivers. Less than, equal than, less than, greater than, that sort of thing. For this one, let's just add green. Okay. So now you can see this is conditionally formatted. It changed to red because it was less than 90,000. That's great. And we can also add these into larger charts as well. So let's go back to this original chart that I have created. I'm going to pick a column for 2019 and I am going to conditionally formatting it. This time, let's use the icon set. I find that this is a little bit easier to understand rather than a cell fill when we are looking at multiple columns or multiple rows. So here I'm just going to, again, for demo's sake, I'm just picking things. It doesn't have to really make sense. I'm just showing you that we can, off of a value greater than, use an icon set. Let's say we do green if it's over 100,000, and let's just, for the sake of the demo, add another one. This time we'll say less than, and then we'll choose another icon. Let's just make it red. And then we can just apply it, click OK, and then that adds it to the list in our large chart. So that looks pretty neat. And obviously, as we add more information, those icons will change based off of the data. So that looks great. Let's go ahead and duplicate this now. And very quickly, I'm just choosing this blue box and going over to show my context areas with the drop-down arrow. And let's kind of nest a couple of these title elements together. So I have accounts now. I'm going to change periods and assets. And then now I'm going to go into changing my visualization. So here we have a list to choose from. I'm going to choose a line graph. Again, very quickly, you've now got a wonderful chart. So I can go and hide my context row at the top and add a title. So for this image, let's just call it 2019 Total Asset Depreciation Comparison. Great. Now, my managers do like to see one more chart, so let's just duplicate this really quickly. It adds it to the bottom. I can scroll down, show my context area, and then let's just quickly swap some of these around. I'm just going to take assets here and flip it over to accounts. That'll change some of the data that we're seeing. And then again, I can come up and edit my title on the fly. So this is going to be, let's say, 2019. And we can add a new title here. Let's say booking value by asset. We can hide our context row. Again, clicking on the blue box, clicking the down arrow will hide or show that context area. And this looks good for our dashboard. So the final thing that we need to add, of course, is a title. I can click on the T for text. It inserts a text box. I can immediately start typing into it. And as you can see, go over to my properties button on the upper right corner. click it and choose text properties to start editing the text. We can do font size, font style, we can bold it, we can choose a different color. Anything that you can do related with text will be nested under this properties pane on the upper right-hand side. So now that we have our title, let's go ahead and add an image to the upper left-hand corner to kind of mimic a logo. I'm just choosing the QueBIT logo. I went out to the web and right-clicked, chose copy the address and pasted it to get this logo. But in reality, your organization, maybe your marketing department has a bank of logos or images that you could use here. But for this demo, we're just doing it kind of very quickly on the fly. So I'm just going in and using that. And I'm going to edit my tab title to say dashboard. So now you can see we've built out our dashboard in just a couple minutes. Let's go ahead and add a second page. I'm going to choose freeform because I am going to just edit this on the fly and move things around as I want. I'm going to call it asset input. Here's where my users are going to use another view from a different cube. So here I'm going to use the view default from my CapEx input cube. It adds it to the page. And from here, we can drag in our logo again in the upper left corner to give the user interface some familiarity and similarity between page to page. I'm going to add a title. Again, I'm just clicking and dragging where I want it. I'm adding the text, and then I'm going to edit based off of the user interface design. So text properties, I'm choosing bold. I'm going to use a larger font and a color, and then resize my window. So this looks pretty good so far. Now that I've got my area where my users can come in and input directly into this input chart, I can hide my context area again. And let's add some directions. It's always best practice to tell your users what to do when you get into a new page. So from here, I'm clicking and adding a text box. I'm going to add some directions for what everybody needs to do when they get to this page. And I'm giving them a suggestion on where to go and who to contact for help. But let's add a button now. So let's say that you have a reference document that a user can access, or perhaps a web page. So I'm dragging a button down. I'm going to customize it with the word help. I'm going to choose that it navigates to a hyperlink. And then for this demo, I'm just going to hyperlink it out to Google. In reality, you'd probably choose a reference doc, something on your intraweb. And then let's go ahead and edit the button properties. Let's bold it. We'll give it a larger font. And notice that you can also choose the background of the button, so the fill of the button. We have all these different colors here. We also have border colors that you can use. So you can basically choose whatever design that you would like. I'm going to choose gray and then a gray border and keep the opacity at 100%. So that's how you can quickly on the fly edit your button. Now let's go out of edit mode and test it by clicking on it. And yep, brought me to Google. So I'm just going to click the pencil in the upper left-hand corner to go back into edit mode. And now we're going to add another page. This one's going to be for our drivers. So remember our use case, our business team needs to see the drivers that are part of the calculations behind the scenes. So I'm going to edit this page first by adding in a title. Again, I would edit by adding a QueBIT logo. I'm just going to save some time here and only do the title as seen here. But in this instance, let's say you have a pre-built CAFE report. So you had a report, you published it to the web. It's now located under applications on the left-hand source tree. I right-click, add it to the sheet, and there is my pre-built CAFE report. Notice this one has a couple tabs, so the tabs all showed up, which is great. It maintained the source formatting of my bolded blue background on one of the headers, so that's great. So let's add a final web page. This is called Welcome, and this is going to be our welcome page. When you first open up this report, a user will land here, and it'll give them some sort of direction if they needed to get started. And then also we're going to add some buttons to navigate to these different pages. So I'm keeping the same look and feel by adding titles, and of course I'm adding my QueBIT logo in the upper left-hand corner. Again, user interface and symmetry should be kind of a concern when you're building these out. We want to keep it the same and similar. So now that I've got this, what I'm going to do is go up into my top menu bar, and I'm going to add in a video. So I'm going to click on the video, drag it where I want. I'm going to go out to YouTube. This is actually QueBIT's YouTube channel, and I'm going to grab a video called QueBIT Training we have uploaded. Just doing this for reference. Yours might be a different training video, let's say. And now that I've got my video here, I'm going to drag down another text box and give users an idea of what to do to get started. So I'm going to say, please watch the training video below to get started. Okay. Now we've linked our video, let's go ahead and add some helpful links for buttons to this web page that's going to automatically jump us to these different tabs that we just created. So I'm clicking on the button, dragging it where I want, clicking on properties, and walking through each one of these property fields. So first I'm going to rename this button specifically to Asset Input. This button is then going to target a destination within this book. So it's going to go to the Asset Input tab. And then I'm going to edit the look and feel of the button. I'm going to bold the text, make it a little bit bigger. And let's go ahead and add that same background color that we did before, that gray color. Okay, we've got our first button. Now let's add a couple more for the other tabs within this specific book. So I want a button for each of these tabs. So I just did Asset Input. Now I'm going to quickly do the drivers and then edit the look and feel just to make it similar. And then I'm going to do one more and create it for the final one, which is dashboard. Now, one thing that I would hope comes in future releases is the ability to, kind of just right click, copy a button and then duplicate it. We could have also added it to a collection and then for future use. However, you would still have to come in here and edit every single one of these. So it's just worth it, in my opinion, to build it from scratch. So as you can see, you'd still have to edit the text. You'd still have to edit the navigation. But now that we've got our buttons, it looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and do one more new thing. I'm going to pop out to the internet here. I'm just Googling white background image. I'm going to copy the image address and drag down a new image onto my workspace. And what this is going to do is add a background image. So I just picked a random picture. Again, your marketing team might have a cache of images to use, but I'm just going to oversize this image. And then when I click on the top, change the order so that it is 1. So it comes first. It's the lowest level image, and that will put it to the behind all the other images, videos, and text boxes. So this looks pretty good to me now. It kind of has a good look and feel. Let's drag the welcome tab to being the first tab. And you can see that I now have one more thing to do, which is let's go ahead and layer a button over an image. So every QueBIT logo, I'd like it to now turn into a navigational button that will jump us to the welcome page. So this is like returning home. Every time somebody clicks on the QueBIT logo, I want it to act as a button. So instead of having words or font, I'm going to choose no border and basically make the button clear so you can't see it. So all you see is the image. So now what we can do is let's test it. Let's get out of edit mode and click, and you can see it did jump me to the welcome page. I'm clicking on another button here. I'm just randomly clicking, checking my buttons, and yes, they all work. So as you can see, within a matter of a couple minutes, we have successfully put together an entire dashboard where we built out buttons, images, videos, headers. We put in, not only built out views from our cubes that were existing, but we went and also built out our existing cafe report and used that as well. Okay, so now I'm going to go back into the slide deck here. And I'm going to hand it over to Steve, who's going to talk us through some PAW cheat sheets.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. I put together a quick list of things that I found useful when I started PAW, or kind of learned along the way, and trying to quickly develop some of these things. So the first thing that I found I ran into the most is when something wasn't working, I usually wasn't in edit mode. So always check that quick pencil icon to be sure it's blue and you're in edit mode when you are trying to build things. If something's not working, that's usually my go-to, is to figure out which mode I'm in. The second thing is the properties pane that Maria was using to change buttons and text. So that window, once you click it, it opens. It will actively change based on the PAW object you click on. So if you click around, basically it will be targeted to the selected object. So if something doesn't make sense, maybe you might be clicked on the wrong object. So if you just kind of click around, you'll see it update. This blue box at the top of objects, so when you pull in a TM1 view, this blue box is going to help you kind of go where you need to go. So you can duplicate views, you can save views, you can turn a TM1 view into a chart, as we saw in the video, and you can delete things. The thing I find most useful is save reusable objects to collections. So when you click on that blue box, say you have an object you want that's reusable, you can easily just add it to your collections, and then it can be found in your collections library, which is located on the top right portion of your PAW when you're in edit mode. This is perfect for things that you want to just kind of add everywhere. So that QueBIT logo or your company's logo, you can add it to your collection so you don't have to copy and paste in the web link every time. And then the last thing I want to cover, so the welcome page, in the way that Maria had hid the button under the QueBIT logo, a lot of, or at least a good trick to do is try and create your homepage first and get the theme and the formatting how you'd like to see. And then once you do that, you can just duplicate that tab across the worksheet and edit it from there. So you don't have to recreate all your buttons if you want buttons on every tab, and you don't have to recreate any background images. So that'll just save you a lot of time in development. Just make one good template and duplicate it where needed. So those are the things that I found most useful when you start getting into the development of PAW.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Steve. I know that PAW, when you first enter it, it's a blank slate. So very much like Microsoft PowerPoint, the options are endless. And so this list here is very good reminders on best practices on how to get started. So thanks for putting that together. All right, now I'd like to open up this some time for audience questions. So everyone has a GoToWebinar toolbox, and within that is an area for questions. So please enter in your questions and submit them. We are happy to go through. We do have quite a bit of time left, so let's get started. I am just going to scroll through here. Oh, great, we have some questions. So, okay, I'm just going to start at the top. Is there an option for customized colors in PAW when changing the colors on my buttons and text? Okay, that's a great question. You noticed when I was in my edit mode, I was going in and kind of adding a background fill color to the buttons or changing the font to, you know, maybe blue. So only as of right now, I think there's just kind of like those preset colors. There's only a handful of them. There might only be like 10 or 12 colors to choose from. There's no way that you can customize those colors yet. You are pretty much only able to use the colors that are there. But I am hopeful that IBM will be expanding their color offering and hopefully have an option for customization in the future. I'm not sure if they are building that, but I would think that they would in the future for sure. Can you show us how to do TI processes and rules? Okay, so this is a great question. So yes, buttons can run TI processes, and PAW definitely has all the capabilities of Architect, where you can do rules and processes. You can create dimensions and cubes and add elements, and you can add hierarchies and all of these things. So this time is really just dedicated for the end user. It was just a quick start way to get started from scratch, and it was on the assumption that everyone is coming into PAW new. The next session that we're going to be offering on Tuesday, May 5th, that's the next class in the series. Now that's going to be devoted more towards those, quote, modular abilities in PAW. And we will, I promise you, go through TI processes and rules in that class. So be sure to sign up. The link there to sign up is QueBIT.com/events. So we will cover that then. Okay, can I put my existing perspectives reports on PAW? Now, this is actually an excellent question. You notice that the report that I pulled in was a PAFA report, PAFA being the updated perspectives. It stands for Planning Analytics for Excel. And I used a PAFA report. Now, legacy reports are perspective reports. The answer is yes, you can use your perspective reports in PAW. The only thing that you will have to do is you will have to remember to convert any of those action buttons that you might have prior to publishing out to PAW. So the action buttons, there is actually a conversion process that needs to happen. To update a button, you actually just click another button to convert it. It's very quick, very easy. IBM did a great job with building that out. But if your perspective reports do have buttons, you just have to convert them. It takes a couple seconds. If they don't have buttons, then yes, your perspective reports will natively work when you publish them to PAW. Okay, what browsers work with PAW? That's a great question. All browsers that I know of are compatible with PAW. I do know that IBM develops in Chrome, and so I think that I would therefore say Chrome would be the preferred browser. I prefer Chrome, but all browsers are compatible with PAW. In PAFA, is there any limitation on number of web sheets that you have within a given book? Not that I'm aware of. That being said, you do want to always have the mindset of making your user interface friendly and simple for your end users. So as you could see, like when I was going in and adding buttons and fonts and, you know, like Steve said, with the logos and having a template, so to speak, to start from, that's for consistency, but it's also to keep in mind making things as easy on your users as possible. So if you have a multi-tabbed, you know, report that you're using, and it just has, you know, so many tabs in Excel, to use Excel as a comparison to PAW here, you know, it becomes bulky and users could get lost, you know. So you have to kind of use that same kind of logic when you're building out in PAW. You want to keep it simple. Perhaps we break this apart a little bit. You know, is it necessary to have 100 tabs? Probably not. Maybe we could make this into 2 books. Maybe we could make this into multiple tabs, that sort of thing. So just kind of use that same logic as when you're designing your Excel reports and keeping those simple. I'd use that same logic here when you're developing in PAW. Okay. What about security in these PAW dashboards and reports? Is there something special that needs to be set up? This is an excellent question. So without going down the rabbit hole of security in PAW, just at a very high level, security in PAW is whether or not a person can access a book or a folder, or, you know, whether or not they can create and edit objects, let's say adding buttons, adding images, adding videos, as you saw we were building out today. The rest of it is sitting on top of TM1 security. And those TM1 security credentials are what's driving whether they see the cube, whether they see the dimension, whether they see the elements, whether they see the data. So don't have any fear that once you get into PAW that all of a sudden they're going to have access to things that they don't have access to, let's say an architect. So PAW is using those same TM1 security credentials. So if you have a question about whether they can run a process or whether they can see some data or a view or a cube, those are all TM1 security questions. And so then therefore, PAW relies on TM1 security and the privileges given. So if you notice, the first thing that I did when I logged into PAW, I entered my username and credentials. So that would be the same username and credentials that I use logging into Architect. It's the same. So therefore, you can see that PAW and TM1 security do work hand in hand, but PAW is more about what can you do with dashboards and reports and building out, you know, these interfaces as you saw today. And you know, with that, I don't want to kind of go down into more security. There's a lot to talk about with security, and we don't have time to cover it all, that's for sure. But if your team is interested, QueBIT does offer a really great PAW admin class, which can teach you all about implementing security and much, much more. And that PAW admin class is on our website. So we have a link here on the page. It's QueBIT.com/training. And of course, you can send us an email at any time with any questions to training@QueBIT.com. Okay, let me just continue on with the questions here. All right, so we have a question about how to use a video link from Microsoft 365 or Microsoft Stream video as a source. I haven't tested that with Microsoft with using Streams, but however, what you can do is you can just copy the URL and you should be able to use it. Just like I was copying out from YouTube, I was just copying that URL and putting it in there. But I will have to go ahead and test this, and I can take your information down and we can be in contact after this webinar if you need help with adding that as a source. Okay, how do you share a book with one another? So again, this is more of an admin type of question. So we're going to go into the how do you share a book, or how do you grant privileges, or how do you access views underneath. All of these security questions we're going to answer in the admin training, and that one is going to be on May 19th. That's a Tuesday. And so we're going to go into more of the admin perspective at that time. So I please encourage you to join that class. Can you
I
use
see
buttons to
one
jump
here.
to different books? Yeah, you can. You can jump to different tabs, you can jump to different books, you can hyperlink and jump out to a different website. You can also run a TI process. We're going to go into how to use a button to run a TI process in the next class, May 5th, PAW for Modelers. So please join that one. And go ahead, Steve.
Is there a way to build a custom template in PAW, i.e. same background, logos, etc., or is collections the best way to do that? So I do not think you can add an entire tab to your collections. I think you can just add objects. So typically the way I would build it is just for each new book. I'm not sure if you can copy a tab across books either. So if you kind of know, you may have to replicate the specific template you're looking for in a new book. But then once you do it once in a book, you can copy it across. But you can save the individual objects for your template into the collections.
Okay, great. Another question here, is PAW meant to replace Architect? PAW at this moment, IBM had developed to simultaneously do everything that you can do in Architect, and it's through the user-friendly web browser. So at this moment, anything that you can do in Architect, you can do in PAW. It actually might be a stretch to say that you can do more because of the dashboards, the hierarchies, the different monitoring tools that they have for admins. You know, it's all really nicely laid out and very user-friendly. So I would say that PAW going forward is IBM's vision. This is absolutely what they're looking to as being the future. That being said, I don't think that at this time IBM is looking to phase out Architect. We have had no communication saying that Architect is going away at any time. So Architect, I think, is going to still be around. So, you know, it's always going to kind of be there in the background as a second option. But I certainly think that IBM is smart in that they understand that, you know, going to cloud is the future, and PAW, web browsers, dashboards, interfaces, the ability to very quickly absorb and transform data into different charts and graphs, and then also do some modeling if you needed to. So PAW is definitely looked at as the one-stop shop. But Architect, I don't think is going to be replaced at any time soon, and nor is it going away. Unfortunately, that's the only communication that I have had. You know, maybe in 5-10 years time, things will be different, but maybe there'd be a new tool out at that point anyways. But I think we can all rest assured that our trusty Architect is here to stay. Okay, and then can we use the video form from a local computer instead of the online URL? So at this time, the only way to add a video is through the online URL. And again, that's to eliminate any ties to local instances. PAW is, you know, supposedly this wonderful cloud tool. And so they kind of have gotten away from uploading anything from a local instance. And so they really have moved towards online URLs as their best way forward. However, that may change in the future. But as of right now, the only way to add videos are through an online URL. Okay, and I see one more question. This is a good one. So is PAX and PAFE the same, just the name got updated? Yes, it did. So for those of you who are aware, IBM a couple years ago has gone through a rebranding of sort. We used to say perspectives, and that would mean Excel reports that are sitting on top of TM1. Well, now the rebranding is TM1 is now known as Planning Analytics, and Perspective Reports is called Planning Analytics for Excel. So PAFE for short. There was a time where people started saying PAX, P-A-X, Planning Analytics Excel. But the nomenclature that IBM is going forward with at this time is PAFE, which is P-A-F-E, Planning Analytics for Excel. So it is a renaming of sorts, yes. And can users create their own dashboards, or admin rights is needed to do that? Users can start building out in Excel. You can have them, or sorry, in PAW, you can grant them privileges. They do not need admin rights, but they do need to have the ability to create their own book or create their own view, or that sort of thing. So it is a privilege, but it's not an admin right. So admin rights are a different level of security within PAW. And we will go down the road of all these security questions again, like I said, in that third training series on May 19th. So please join for that. Okay, and with that, I don't see any more questions here. Thank you so much to all of you who have joined. I really appreciate your attention and all these questions. It was wonderful getting so much audience participation today. That was really great. Thank you, Steve, for joining. And of course, our emails are listed here. If you needed anything in the future, feel free to give us an email. We're always happy to help. And don't forget the next 2 sessions. Join us on the upcoming dates, QueBIT.com/events to sign up, or QueBIT.com/training for more of our offerings. Thank you everyone for joining, and have a great day. Bye-bye.